So I'm just going to be talking about how time relates to different dimensions and how we can use each dimension to explain a model of time that has been thought up. The first model of time is obvious. We just go from point A to point B. Okay, it's linear. What happens in the past affect what happens in the future. We don't know what the future is, we can create it, and what happens in the past has created us. Our choices create us. This is the most useful way to think about time. This is the way all cultures default to thinking about time. This is the way we ought to think about time in a realistic, pragmatic sense. But next to this first dimensional model of time, where 1 goes to 1, it's a line, we can think of, if we call that the first dimension, there must also be a 0 dimension and a 2-dimensional model of time. There doesn't must need to be, but there is. So in the 0th dimension, there's just a point. And this is what is called the block universe, where just everything has already happened, always will happen. And the reason we consider time to be linear is because that is how we comprehend it. That's how our brain and consciousness sees time, as just being a block. So that's another way we can think about time, just a dot. As people begin to philosophize about time and think about time, they'll inevitably come to this, but they'll also inevitably come to the second dimension. In the second dimension, the perfect shape is the circle. So I don't know why I just did. Okay. So a circle is a loop, and this is just the idea that time is a loop and it'll always come back. This could be called the Big Bounce theory, and it's also like the idea that everything will happen again. History repeats itself. Time is a loop. Big Bounce theory and such. So we still comprehend time as being linear, but it just goes in a loop and a loop and a loop. And that's another thing. If you just philosophize about time, you'll go from thinking of time as being 1-dimensional to perhaps being 0th or 2-dimensional. Now, can we go beyond that? Maybe we can have a negative first dimension or a 3rd-dimensional model of time. A negative 1th dimension, I don't know what that would be. Maybe it'd just be nothing. And if there was nothing, that goes back to another philosophical question. Why is there anything at all? Is that just a brute fact? Should we just accept that everything will happen? Maybe. And then the 3rd-dimensional, what would that be? The perfect shape in the 3rd dimension is a sphere. So we would have a sphere, and maybe it'd be like a small sphere of time inside it trying to grow in volume. So time would have mass, volume. Okay, I don't know what that would look like either, but very confusing, right? So yeah, those are the 5 models of time that I can immediately picture. So the normal model of time, linear, 1-dimensional. And then we have the dot, or the point, 0-dimensional. Time is just a brute fact. It's just there. It's just a thing. Everything has already happened and will happen. Jeez, my arm is getting tired. The 2nd dimension is a loop. Everything repeats itself. History repeats itself. Big Bounce theory. And then you can have the negative 1st or 3rd dimensions. And what that would be, I don't know. Make sure to smash